In December 2008, the French film Pour Elle was released in France. It was written and directed by Fred Cavier, and we got a print sent here to the United States and took a look at it, thought it was a great piece of source material for us. Originally, we actually thought it might be something just that the company would produce, but Paul saw the film and fell in love with the concept, thought he really could amplify what was there.
I saw it and loved it. It was a very slight film, 88 minutes long, very American in its tone, and I thought, well, I could take this and play with the themes and expand on the characters and on the plot, and take a French film and make it quite a bit darker, which I thought was a tad perverse for an American filmmaker.
Paul's idea was to take those characters and fill them out, give them complications, give them subtleties, and make it a little bit darker.
I really loved the questions that they raised, and I wanted to try and really ask tougher questions and answer some of those questions, at least have the characters attempt to answer some of those questions.
But what part of our life is truly under our control?
He really, I think, focuses on character pieces. You know, that's his forte as a writer, is he really delves into character. And I know that when he saw the original, he thought, oh, it's a great concept. I really want to dig into who these people are.
A man will do anything for his wife, and the conundrum, you know, to achieve what he achieves, he has to turn into somebody that his wife couldn't love, you know. So that to me was an interesting journey to go on.
John, stop this.
Kneel down, face the wall.
I really wanted Russell Crowe's character to pay more of a price, because it's sort of posited by the Liam Neeson character that if you do something like this, you could possibly change into someone who you won't recognize anymore.
Can you forget about ever seeing your parents again? Can you kill a god? Leave your kid at a gas station?
I really wanted to explore that, to the point where he is a person who, at one point, considers leaving his son behind.
Bear left.
This is a man who's trying to reunite his family in a moment of crisis, has to choose between his wife and his son. And seeing that, his wife has to see in his eyes that this is a man she doesn't recognize anymore, and quite possibly may never be able to love again.
You took the wrong turn. John, the zoo's behind us. You took the wrong turn. Babe, what are you doing?
She'll call my parents.
What?
They'll look after him, and I'll figure out a way of getting him to us.
This was, for Paul, the penultimate moment, as opposed to the killing of the drug dealer. This was a change that he created, completely invented, and it was in order to sort of deepen the character and create an even more difficult, impossible Sophie's choice. Freedom or my son.
First question I asked myself was where. I wanted it to be someplace within 3 or 4 hours, well, about a 6-hour drive of the Canadian border, because if they're going to escape, I want them to go north, not south. And I wanted it not to be obvious, so it couldn't be Chicago, Detroit, etc. So that started eliminating those cities. I also wanted it to be a city that was not iconically American, so New York, Chicago, Seattle, LA. I wanted it to represent any place in America. So this story could happen to anyone.
This movie is about somebody who just makes a hard choice and gets gritty about it, and Pittsburgh allows us the gritty.
Pittsburgh truly is a character in the film, because I wanted this to be placed in a city that used to be one thing and is now another. Pittsburgh, as everyone knows, was a steel town, and that generation, which was character's father, would have been a steel worker. And now Pittsburgh is a city of education, of medical facilities, of research, and that's the world is putting John in. So he is a teacher, but not a teacher at a university, a teacher at a community college. So he isn't even the top of that profession. So he would think of himself as a bit of a failure, and certainly in his father's eyes, or at least in the way he sees his father, he would think that he wasn't really a man. He was not the classic character, the World War II veterans that we look up to and go, oh, yes, those are men. So because we look at his dad, you go, oh, yes, he'd break his wife out of prison, and he'd succeed. But I wanted to look at John Brennan and go, oh, this poor guy hasn't got a chance.
He's a very simple bloke, you know. He's an English teacher at community college. And this situation has come crashing into an otherwise relatively placid life that the two of them were leading with their young child.
The great thing about Pittsburgh is real people. These are just everyday folks. You know, you can believe this could happen to a couple living in Pittsburgh.
We said, well, let's go to Pittsburgh before we write the script and take a look. And we went there, and in 2 days, we basically had the feel of the movie. We looked, we rode the trains, we said, we could set a sequence here on the trains, it would be great.
We visited the county jail, the largest jail in the world, and they were wonderful to us. They took us through and showed us all around.
This script was actually written with Pittsburgh in mind, so the geography of Pittsburgh and the cityscape and the bridges and tunnels and the Allegheny County Jail are all, heavily featured in the actual writing.
So we planned out and Mac sort of really walked out everything that would happen, and then I went away to write the script.
We share an office, which was a large room, and he sits on one side, I sit on the other, and he would be working away writing scenes. And as he would write a scene, he would hand them off and say, "Hey, look at this, look at this." So the interplay and the exchange was highly collaborative, but it was also very fast. And he's capable of writing almost in any circumstance. Could be a coffee shop, could be the middle of a train station. He's very focused, and so he used to like to write while I'd be on the phone trying to organize and make deals to get the movie going. So that would be kind of the process. I think he would hear me making deals, he would write faster.
Started asking myself questions like, how would I break my wife out of jail? And I'm a writer, which is very similar to an English teacher. I had no idea. So what was the first step? Well, I'd go online. I'd Google. I'd go to YouTube. And that's what I did. I Googled how to break out of prison. Amazing results. All the stories of people who have tried, and I figured out the helicopter attempt from there. Then how to break into a car, how to break into a vehicle, how to create a key that'll open any lock, and I discovered the bump key.
This script, which was not longer than normal, was a 120-page script, but it had over 360 scenes, I believe, which is an enormous amount of scenes.
I remember seeing Ed Zwick, who was my friend who was shooting his film at the same time, and Ed was complaining he had 140 scenes. Yeah, I got a few more.
And it was the nature of both the story, which was a complex construct. It was sort of a caper, there was planning, so you had to have many little elements created to build up to the ultimate piece of action, which was the breaking out of his wife from jail. But that was very unusual. I think Paul was surprised at how many small little scenes he had created.
Originally, I thought, what am I going to do with all this time? I have 52 days. It's the most I've ever had to shoot a movie. Crash was 35 days, and the Valley was 42. I said, 52, what am I going to do with all that time? Well, I figured it out. 380 scenes. You couldn't really move. That's what you're going to do. It was a great fun shooting it. It was a very different experience for me. So many scenes, so many shots. The camera moved so much. Right now I have 4 cameras rolling. We have a long lens here as John and Laura come down these steps. Got it. The tracking shot over there through the fountain, which is paralleling what they're doing.
Second team rehearsal.
And we've got a shot inside that brings them through and downstairs. It's a Steadicam shot that takes them down the stairs. So we're having a lot of fun.
But yeah, it's always good to shoot where you're supposed to be, However, that doesn't often happen.
The experience shooting in Pittsburgh has been great. People are really warm and welcoming. I think the city's lent itself incredibly well to the story.
Pittsburgh's tough. So many bridges and tunnels they can block off. From the time they make the call, the police can have the center of the city sealed tight in 15 minutes.
Well, my favorite thing so far about making this movie was going to the prison and meeting the inmates.
During pre-production, she wanted to spend some time in the jail, feel what it was like. So they opened the facility to her.
I got to sit with about 40 female inmates, and I got to be locked in a cell and just really sort of have that experience and talk to them about being in jail and what that means and what their life is like. And I have to say, once you're in there, it's really easy to imagine how hard that life is and how much you want to get out.
They took her through the process where you come in, you're processed, you're given a room, you're given your assignments, so she could feel what the routine in a jail would be like.
I got locked up in a cell, and I almost burst into tears. It was that horrible. And I knew I was going to get out. So it was funny, the first thing I asked the inmates that I got to meet was, did you sleep the first night? And none of them, they all said no. Nobody sleeps the first night. Most of them didn't sleep the first week. You can't believe that you're in there.
It allowed us to move freely within the prison. To our great surprise, they let us close down sections of the jail and bring our crew in and stage our scenes. It was, an extraordinary thing for the city.
One of the things that Paul wanted was he wanted the escape from the jail to be just really interesting. And when you're set in the heart of a city, you think it's providing a really cool backdrop for this movie.
Harris, they're in the subway. Harris, the subway.
Another major location for us was the T system, the subway system that they have in Pittsburgh, which is where we stage a major chase sequence through the train, into the train station, through the tunnel, and out the tunnel.
They gave us 2 hours a day to shoot on and gave us our own track that we could run back and forth on, and they were very welcoming and really made it possible. I had people leaping off and running through tunnels, and not something you might do on subway lines, but it was great.
Action on the train, action on the train.
There were other weekends that we closed down bridges and tunnels and staged roadblocks and car chases. So the city allowed us to manipulate the traffic in the city throughout our shoot.
We've shot all over the place. I mean, I don't think there's a square foot of Pittsburgh that we haven't shot.
As we were picking locations, we wanted locations that would sort of anchor us in this place. So we set a sequence that would be at the Pittsburgh Zoo. We shot in the Pittsburgh airport, which conveniently had a wing that was vacant and closed, so we could stage our chase sequence through the airport. We shot in a couple of very sort of distinctive neighborhoods.
The movie is based in Pittsburgh in the Hill District, which is a district I'm familiar with. My father had a bodega in the Hill District years ago, so I know the roughness of the neighborhood and the toughness of it. Yeah, I think the locations in the film is very authentic. I think the director and the person who scouted the sets did a very good job capturing a part of Pittsburgh that America don't know.
Being here all the time has been good for us as actors to get a sense of what the place is and the pride that people have in their city.
When you cast some of these extras, when the production leaves the city and go back home, they return back to their normal life. And I was talking to one of the extra guys, and he was like, basically, his life has been a life of crime, a life in and out of jail.
We spent some time with the Pittsburgh police, who have been very generous with their time and very generous with their information, just so we can get a sense of the people that we're kind of playing. There's, little things, the way they stand, the way they dress, the fact that it's a very kind of collar and tie police force. It's not t-shirts and bomber jackets. They dress up for work, and that's been good to know, and just to hang out and see what the vibe is.
Here!
What we're doing, we're setting up here for when John and Laura escape, and they're coming out here, and they're going to run out. Detective Nabulsi and Harris, hot on their heels. They're coming over this way. They'll run into the middle of the street, looking back, changing their coats, and disappear over here. Nabulsi comes running out, gets in the middle of the street, camera swirls around him, and he suddenly realizes that all the folks in this end and all the folks in this end are dressed exactly like John is dressed, which is in the colors of the three teams here in Pittsburgh, the Steelers, the Penguins, and the Pirates. And so they're lost in the crowd.
Harris, that way, go!
I'm not a big sports guy, but I loved Pittsburgh. I loved the fact that they embraced their teams, and they really support their teams. And in fact, it was while I was there that I saw hordes of people dressed in team colors heading through the streets, and so I decided to add that as a plot twist to the film. I don't know if Americans are going to look at that and think it's real, but it's there. You look in the corners heading towards the stadiums, and it's just mobbed with people in team colors.
There's such diehard fans, and it seems to infuse almost every aspect of life. If the Steelers win, the entire town will be in a good mood.
But here, everybody's in black and gold, whether they're a baseball fan or a football fan or a hockey fan. I mean, even though the Penguins have got this kind of cool light blue thing going on at the moment too, they still have a base of black and gold. So, everybody's on the same team here. So I think that helps make it a friendly place.
Russell, being a owner of a rugby team and, a great sports fanatic. He's very interested in watching how the Steelers run their stadium, run their franchise, looking for ideas to transport back to Australia, where he runs his team.
The hat. This is the Rabbitohs. This is Russell's team in Australia, his football team. So we're wearing it in honor of his team.
On the set, I told him I liked hockey, and he brought in one of the hockey players from the Penguins, Max Talbot, and we made friends with him.
One day, Russell took Ty Simpkin, who plays his son in the movie, to a Penguins game, decked him out in gear with skates and the whole outfit, and they went onto the ice and skated before the match. And Ty was in heaven.
And cut. Good. One more. I was lucky enough to get Danny Elfman to do the music for this. One of the highlights was getting to go to Air Studios in London and watch him record the score. There's amazing players there. They're just the strings there. The string sections are just. Tons of directors could have done this movie. You all have your own way of doing it, and it'll all be your own particular take on the subject. And that's why I sort of like remakes, is that 100 artists can look at the same subject, the same material, and come up with 100 different films. Focus on the fence and maybe 100 mil.
Some people are good writers, and they pass the material on to other directors, and the other directors gotta hopefully see the vision of what the writer was writing. And in Paul's case, I think he's now given the opportunity to write and direct, and so he gets to bring his vision to life.
He's a writer-director, which means that we're working with somebody who has a really clear vision. He sees the whole movie. He saw it when he was writing it. He knew what he wanted from the get-go. So when we show up, he is on the ball. He knows what he wants. He's, communicates, here's what we're doing, and there's just no BSing around.
There's one point of view, and that's the point of view that leads the entire army. And, there's very few directors who can, who do that. And for a producer, it's a pleasure.
I love creating the characters of the plot and twisting it around in my mind. Then I love to see to work on the mechanics of pulling it together, and then finally directing it and watching the actors bring life to the sort of dead words on the page. That's really cool.
And cut! Great, thank you! Beautiful day! We're done, thank you!